The do-it-yourself air duct cleaning tools I've built so far in this series have worked well for removing dust and debris. But there's something in the ductwork that even my most aggressive homemade air whips can't remove. Whatever it is stuck to the bottom here, it needs to be cleaned off. So now in part 5, we'll see how that problem was handled as we experiment with some homemade duct cleaning brushes. I'll need to use a duct vacuum to suck out the dust and debris swept up into the air when using this equipment, just like I did with the whips. The vacuum made during part 3 should work fine for that. Most of this video will be about rotary brushes, but the vac would also be necessary for a brush operated manually by hand. Like this brush, which I'll build toward the end of the video. I bought this drill-powered dryer vent cleaning kit as a starting point for the project, then realized it had threaded connections, which means it can only be spun in one direction and not reversed. I returned it and purchased a kit with a different kind of connection for the flexible rods, one that allows for reversal. It came with a couple of brushes that would probably be good for cleaning out small ducts like a dryer vent. These kits are meant to be used with drills, but they can also be worked by hand to a limited degree. The rods that came with this kit are reversible due to the design of the connections. Pretty simple, which I like. Just uses a spring-loaded locking pin. Here's the drive bit that chucks into the drill and a tool that came with it. The rods are fairly easy to connect. As flexible as these rods seem to be, I wouldn't want to bend them much in temperatures below 65 degrees Fahrenheit. I'd tend to accidentally break my plastic toys a lot more in temperatures less than that. This tool that came with is for pushing the pin to separate the connectors. So far I like this connection system. Makes it fast and easy to assemble, as well as change the brushes. Alright, let's try to clean some HVAC ductwork. The vac is left off temporarily so we can see what gets swept up. I don't see much cleaning being done, but I'm not surprised. This brush is too small and soft. It's not able to remove the corrosion and crud that's stuck onto parts of the ducting. So let's modify it with some cable and zip ties. The first cable I'll try is pretty thin, only about 1 millimeter in diameter. Good and flexible though. This other small cable is quite a bit thicker. The brush bristles made with it will be much more aggressive than with the smaller cable. However, the flexibility of the thicker cable will be less. Attaching the 1 millimeter cable to the brush head will be a breeze thanks to these little loops on the ends. But as we'll see in a bit, they aren't necessary. I slide a zip tie through one loop of each cable, then wrap the zip tie around the brush head. I then position the 4 cables equidistant from one another around the brush head before tightening the zip tie. After tightening that zip tie, I cut off the loops on the other ends of the cables. I leave them about 10 inches long, and will cut them shorter as needed. I'll be using this battery drill that has a maximum speed of about 1300 RPM to run the brush. Alright, let's see how these cables handle a confined space. Not very well. They just coil up. There's definitely a large improvement on the brush's coverage, and it's a little more aggressive now, but I'm looking for something much more effective. This configuration might work well for larger ductwork if spun a little faster. One of the cables came unraveled here a little bit. It's rewound and then cut down to 7 inches in length, along with the rest of them. Some tape is used to stop the cable from unwinding at about 1 inch from the end. Now I unravel the ends of the cables back to the tape to form brushes as shown. Let's try it again. The cables are still coiling up around the rod more than I'd like to see, but it's much better, and the coverage is still good. They're cut down to 4 inches, and then I bend the wires of the brush ends to fan them out some. The metal bristles are making good contact, but they lack the stiffness to scrape off all the crud. I'm glad the brush isn't getting caught on the metal tabs here in the duct. I think it's time to try a larger cable. For safety reasons, I don't want to spin the rods any faster. These may come in handy someday, so I'll hang on to them. This larger cable was purchased at a local hardware store and doesn't have those convenient loops. No matter, I'll just tie the cable itself in a knot around the brush head, like so. The ends of the cable come out almost 4 inches away from the brush head. A zip tie is wrapped over the cable to secure it. It's okay to leave the tails of the zip ties long because they'll just add more bristles to the brush. The ends of these cables are prepared like the last ones were. I can tell from the sound that it's much more aggressive than the previous brush, not to mention more effective. It's cleaning the sides well, but not the center of this rectangle air duct. I have a DIY attachment that fixes that problem, which will be shown here in a bit. The bristles leave small scratches in the metal air duct, but residue is coming off. I don't want to see scratches though, because they'll just make the duct harder to clean next time. They may also promote corrosion in the metal ductwork, but they're very small, and there's a couple of nasty spots that I know are going to require thicker cable to clean. Before I try that thicker cable, let's see what some 041 stainless lock wire can do. I just twist on a couple pieces. I wouldn't use wire this thick normally. Pretty sure it's a bad idea. But I want to see if it can remove rust. These wires will scratch the hell out of the metal ductwork, but I'll only use them in this one spot where the duct floor has rusted a lot. The tape used to prevent the cable from unwinding has failed, so I replace it with some hot glue. Okay, here we go. It's working, but naturally the scratches are much larger. I move the brush from side to side, and it is cleaning the rust off the floor, but some wires are bent too much in the process. I try straightening and cutting them shorter. The problem just got worse though. So I move on to a bigger cable. The individual wires of this 1.7 millimeter cable are only about 0.17 millimeter in diameter. The 2.5 millimeter cable shown here has individual wires that measure about 1/4 of a millimeter in diameter. It ought to make a mean brush. Off comes the 1.7 millimeter cable and on goes the 2.5 millimeter. It's cut and prepared like the previous. However, the hot glue collar is located about 1.5 inches from the ends this time, so I can eventually fan the bristles out more for better coverage. I bend the tips 90 degrees using some pliers, but I'm not sure if it helped. Zip ties are again used to secure the cables. That seemed to work well with the previous brush. Kinda scary looking. Let's see how it performs. It's a beast. Scratches up the duct walls but manages to remove more of the residue and some corrosion. Don't think I'll go any bigger than this. The 2.5 millimeter brush is okay for places where I need to clean corrosion and stuck on messes, but I'll want to use something more gentle for the rest of the house, like broom bristles for instance. If these were shiny new ducts with no corrosion, then I would not use cable or metal brushes of any kind. The scratches look worse than they are. Well, the sides of this rectangle air duct can be cleaned okay. Now I need to somehow direct the brush to the center. Got some 2.5 millimeter thick wire here, and I'm going to use it to make a guide for the brush. I loosely loop one end around the rod, then cut the wire to the length I need to loop it around the other end of the rod, like this. Should spin freely. With this tool, I can position the brush wherever it's needed from side to side in the duct. To adjust its position, I simply bend the wire. When I finish one half of the heating duct, the guide will be flipped and I'll clean the other half. Stopped the brush just where I wanted it on the right hand side. I'll keep bending it as I work my way to the middle. Shouldn't be used in areas where it might get snagged or hooked on a protrusion inside the ductwork, but straight, smooth sections seem to be okay. Remove the crud and some rust also. I see quite a bit of bare metal now, which is great. But I'll want to use something more gentle for the rest of the house, like broom bristles, for instance. This thicker cable held up well, and the glob of hot glue kept the cable from unwinding. The rods all still look good. This flexible ducting is going to require a softer brush. I think broom bristles or strings or small rope in the place of cables could possibly work. Maybe a simple plastic brush made from zip ties would be soft enough not to damage the flexible ducting, but still stiff enough to remove that residue. I bet some inexpensive flexible plastic tubing could work as a brush. Like the zip ties, the ends of the tube can be cut to form bristles. I'd attach it to the brush head in the same way I did the cable. These bristles formed by cutting the tubing are really soft and flexible. They can be cut much longer, but then they might get torn off easier. Broom bristles could probably be attached to one of the brush heads using hot glue or zip ties, or both. I'll talk more about that in the next video. But not everyone owns a drill, so now let's take a look at a hand-operated DIY duct cleaning brush. The same 2.5mm wire that was used for the brush guide will once again be used for the extension line of the hand brush. The bristles are easily pulled from a broom with pliers and then straightened. A small dab of hot glue in the center of the bundles holds them together. Now I just line up the bristles like so to help estimate the length of the wire that will need to be bent. After bending, pliers are used to squeeze the bend even tighter. Then the bristles are inserted into the hook as shown. The glue in the middle of the bundles is centered on the hook and wedged into place. This brush will only have 6 bundles of bristles, but many more can be installed if desired. Just need to make the hook section longer to accommodate them. When I'm happy with their positioning, some hot glue is applied to hold them in place. The little loop on the tip is filled with hot glue so it hopefully won't snag on anything inside the ductwork. Now I just twist the hook 180 degrees to form a spiral using these 2 pair of pliers. The overall diameter of the homemade brush came out to around 11 inches. This short segment of wire protruding from the back here is cut off. Then more glue is added to cover the sharp end. It's ugly, but should help prevent the brush from getting caught on something in the air duct. Not as impressive as the drill-powered brushes, but it can clean. It of course doesn't remove the dirt and rust that's stuck onto the floor very well. Works fine for dust and hair and small debris though. Think I'll cut the extension wire down to about 20 feet, since that's all I need. So far I'm pleased with the performance of this homemade air duct cleaning equipment. The flexible rods of the dryer vent cleaning kit have worked well also. But I'm still not done experimenting with rotary duct brushes. Making my own brush heads seems like the next logical step. Gonna need to break out the old face mask. Should be interesting trying to get them to work at the lower speeds of my battery drills. We'll find out in part 6 of my do-it-yourself air duct cleaning tools series as I experiment with some more DIY duct brushes. Thanks for watching.